tried some crunches and it nearly killed me.
Yeah, I do 100 crunches a day.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And it doesn't work.
You know, I had pneumonia, double pneumonia, in the winter of 2004. And it was a virus of some sort, you know, I caught it. They said it was a staph pneumonia, which I got apparently from touching, and who knows where or when it happened. And it was the diagnosis staph before I went into the hospital, because immediately everyone said, oh, you always get staph infections in hospitals. I said, no, I went in with this, and I was in the hospital 2 weeks, which was a long time.
Terrible.
1 week in intensive care. Yeah, with what do you call it, inhalers and things in me, breathing for me, because they didn't want the lungs to get exhausted. My kids came, Penny didn't come from Uzbekistan, they kept up with her by phone, but Tamara came down from Washington, came, and I remember her coming in the room, and when they have you on a ventilator, you are heavily sedated, because otherwise you might get agitated.
Yeah. I would certainly get agitated.
And she came in, and I remember I was happy to see her, and I tried to write a few things to her, which were perfectly sensible things, but I was so sedated and didn't realize it that I now read the paper. I have saved the paper to see what it's like, to try to write, to show what it's like. I tried to write, this is a staphylococcal infection, double pneumonia, goes down, and then and then I wrote, where is my purse? Because I wanted to know where they had done with it. They had taken off my rings. I wanted to be sure that those were in the purse. And these were things I wrote to her, and she said, and then she told me later she went back to my apartment and cried for hours.
Yes,
And
no wonder.
She and my son went in the kitchen, and I never knew they had cried together, but my 9-year-old granddaughter said, when you were in the hospital, Daddy and Aunt Tammy cried in the kitchen. And I said, they did? And I must say that as a mother, I was pleased.
Of course.
I was very pleased. I thought, they're crying because I'm sick. But the reason I bring all this up is I lost something like 15 to 20 pounds while not eating, you know, in the hospital, even though I was on an IV. I came out of the hospital thrilled to death. I thought, I am thin. I can wear any garment now. Nothing is too tight in my waist. And of course people kept saying, Hope, you look terribly scrawny. You've got to put on weight. I was saying, leave me alone.
Don't get too thin.
I'll live with it, yes.
They do say that, don't get too
Don't
thin.
get too thin.
I'm thrilled to be
Like there's some danger I
Well,
could get too thin.
how did you get it back again then?
I don't know. For a while I maintained a lower weight. And then because I speak on these cruise ships, that's not necessarily the reason, because I've been on many, many cruises for years, but have never gained more than a pound maybe on the cruise. This last time I went aboard and came back feeling heavy, but I didn't have a scales, which may be a bad or a good thing. I don't know, because I used to have the kind of relationship with the scales that I would stand on and say, oh God. So then I'd go take all the hairpins out of my hair and go stand on it again. Oh, well, let's see now. I've lost a quarter of a pound. It was those damned hairpins. Then later on, maybe half an hour later, I go stand on it again, and I've gained 2 pounds. I thought, wait! That's right. How can this be? And then they say, when you're trying to lose weight, don't weigh yourself. You know, don't use that as your daily guide. You're supposed to wait till the end of the week, and as Weight Watchers probably says too.
But I do weigh myself every day.
Oh, so do I. If I see a scale, I jump on it like a maniac.
I've been dieting like a wild thing.
Really?
It refuses to budge.
There you go. But to us, you are petite and not in the least bit heavy.
But I also have, and there was a moment.
Well, so do I.
With it last year, as a matter of fact, where I liked what I saw, and then it began creeping in.
Yeah.
And I hadn't changed anything, and now, so I say, I'm acting as though it was, I'm trying to be a starving Armenian, you know, or something, and it will not budge.
a friend of mine just made me feel better. She said, it is age. She said, at a certain age.
That's what I was told
said-
by a nurse at, when I
But the
went.
nurse was 7 years old.
Well, no, the subcutaneous tissue is descending or something. She said,
On top of all the fat. In other words, oh dear.
I now feel, when I look at myself in the mirror hideously in underwear, that I look just like a Parthenon column. In other words, there's no waist indentation.
But you always had a lot of
I
waist.
did before, but now I'm much more like a Parthenon
Whereas
column.
I consider myself a sausage. As I say that, I think I said that that God gave the women of our family no hips, and in compensation they gave us no waist.
Yeah. You didn't want him?
That's right.
We'll take away your waist too. That ought to make you feel good. Meantime, you notice as we're saying all this, we're eating.
We're eating
grapes.
grapes.
We're eating grapes, and we could be doing something much worse.
Well, we could be
having
eating candy.
bonbons. Yeah.
Oh no.
That's why we're having these grapes, even though too much of
Tw-
anything is.
yeah, 22 grapes is 100. That's not much.
I don't want to know that. I want to know that grapes have no calories at all. No.
All right. Anything you say, dear.
There are some foods are allowed by Weight Watchers. I mean, you can eat unlimited quantities of green beans, asparagus, and things of that sort.
With nothing on them?
With nothing on them.
Well, then that's no fun.
Well,
Well, olive oil,
yeah.
olive oil
Well,
and
you
lemon
can-
juice.
I
You can
would
use
put-
olive oil,
Mhm.
can't you?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing to
I
excess.
could eat good olive oil with a spoon.
So can I. Yeah. I could pour it on a little piece of bread and
A
wolf
loaf,
it down.
possibly a loaf of bread and pour
That'd
it.
be better yet.
Well,
I have another blessing that you don't know about,
Oh.
and that is that no matter what I put in front of my husband, he says thank you so much for this
Oh.
wonderful meal.
how nice.
Oh.
And
What a husband.
he says I can give him lean cuisine, and he says, I'm so glad you gave me lean cuisine because that's just what I needed today.
Oh, well, how do
You don't believe this.
No, I
this
believe
husband,
it.
but-
I believe it.
I keep asking whether he has a brother.
Yeah, he does, but you don't want him.
You don't want the brother?
No, no,
I mean, all the good stuff went to Cody. And,
no. It's just. Well, no, I should say he's taken. His
He's
brother
taken.
is taken.
He's taken.
It's not that you don't want him. That's not a good way to say it.
Oh, what does that remind me of? My daughter Tamara, as you may remember, she worked in Ecuador for a full year.
Oh boy.
And it was very interesting. At a little clinic there, she was an administrator, sort of an assistant to the administrator of this clinic, even though she had never taken any courses or done anything that led to this. I don't know how she got the job. And I went to see her. And we took a wonderful side trip to a city or town in Ecuador called Cuenca. Yeah. Which is a lovely...
such a great sound, too.
Yeah.
Cuenca. We loved it, and then we flew on a plane that acted like, or looked like it was an old recycled World War II plane. And we got in, and the windows in this plane were almost as big as house windows. You could look out of a giant window at things, none of these little holes. And then they came jingling down the aisle to serve us something. And in their carts were various liqueurs and little pastries, and then coffee too, which we thought was charming. So in Ecuador, and I'm trying to think what brought this up. Oh, we went to see various cathedrals, the South American cathedrals. And I don't know what possessed me, but I looked at one picture of a Madonna and Child, and I knew instantly what we must name them. The baby Jesus would have been Harold. There's no question about it. And I forget what the Madonna would have been. I think either Charlotte or Louise. Charlotte, I think I gave that Madonna the name. Well, my daughter got hysterical. She said, "But it is Harold. How did you think of that name?" I said, "It has to be. It has to be." And thereafter, we named every Madonna and Child.
Did they have different according to character?
There was just something about the look. You would take one look and immediately you would say,
Frank? Or
Frank is my favorite generic name. Frank and Louise are my favorite generic names. We may have had a Frank. Or there may have been a Theodore. You know, I don't know.
Gift of God.
Well, there you are. and because these were adult men's faces on these babies. They weren't baby faces. You know, they almost look like they'd have long, big heads with hair on top.
You actually see babies that are middle-aged.
Yeah,
That's
you do.
You know exactly what they look like.
One of the twins looks a little more elderly than the other one. You know, one of Cody's new twin grandsons.
But I mean, aside from that, you know, I think mostly, I suppose, Mediterraneans, you know, that you get these types, that you get these children who look like rather cranky 50-year-old businessmen.
Yeah.
60-year-old.
When Larry and I had our first baby, Penny, who was an especially beautiful baby, we thought, and so did the doctors say. And so we brought her home, and we were so thrilled at her little face. Well, then the couple downstairs, about 2 months later, had a baby. And they said, please come down and see our son. So Larry and I went down, all eager to praise the baby, looked into the crib and saw what we felt was the ugliest baby we had ever seen. I mean, he was like a long stork. I mean, a long, skinny baby with a kind of a funny little face. And so we looked, and I said, bless his little heart.
Oh.
And then they beamed, and then Larry said, look at that. Which they also took as a compliment.
That, what is this that you're supposed to say? That is
a baby.
That's what Shelley's father used to tell us to say. We used to say, what should we say about the baby? And he would say, that
Could have said this
is
was a
that.
sporty baby.
Baby.
Or you could say this baby it really has character.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You say, this is a beautiful baby. And the
Isn't
mother
he
says,
down?
thank you,
Isn't he
thank you.
down?
Oh dear, I was sitting in Jim Barrett's Alfa Romeo Sprint Coupe,
Holy cow.
holding adorable Jimmy, aged about 2 months, and looking at him and thinking, oh my God, you know, what good fortune in the universe arranged for me to be in charge of this beautiful baby. And he was a beautiful baby, and he had red curls. So this woman came by and she said, it's awfully cute. What is it? And I said, it's a boy. You know, I said, it's a boy. And she said, I meant the car.
Oh, no, no. Mary,
that's funny.
I've never forgotten that. It punctured me so beautifully. It showed me how completely besotted I had become with this baby.
It's awfully cute.
What is it? Anyone can see it's a boy. Can't anyone see that it's a boy? Oh my.
Well, I think we have more funny anecdotes, or as I've heard people say, antidotes.
Yeah, those two.
Yeah.
Especially if we have
Antidotes?
and a half oysters.
Tonight.
Yeah,
The
antidotes.
famous Teddy Latham said, when I was, 13 at this point, this was the evil beau, right? What do you do
I
about
remember
Teddy
Teddy
Latham?
Latham.
And he said, well, there are two things that a young lady must learn first, right off. And one is to speak properly on the telephone, and the other is to vomit at will in case you've ate a bad oyster.
Vomit at will.
Vomit at will.
And I wonder if I could vomit at will.
Well,
Well, stick your finger down your throat.
That's
Yeah.
what they
You
say.
could if you thought you'd eaten a bad
Bad
oyster.
oyster.
Or an anthrax stamp.
Oh,
You could do
God.
that. There's someone told me, someone who was a Cabot, he was related to the Cabots in
Cabots.
Boston who speak only to
God.
Lowell. No, they speak only to God.
Mhm.
Lowell speak only to God. Well, he said everyone must learn how to play a good game of bridge, and how to play an excellent game of tennis doubles, and how to do a swan dive. And if you know how to do those three things, you can go anywhere with impunity and be entertained by the best people.
In
I
that
can't
case,
do anything.
I can't go anywhere. No,
I'm thinking I'm
I'm
doing
unacceptable everywhere then.
Do you think we should all go before it gets cold or so,
Outside.
and have a little beach walk?
Yes,
We
we
probably
should.
should.
I'm going to
What
change
do
my
you think would
shoes.
be a big bore at this stage?
No, I think it would be